In life, there are moments when God calls us to make difficult decisions, decisions that challenge our hearts, test our faith, and ultimately lead us closer to the freedom He has always intended for us. One of the most significant steps toward freedom is learning when to walk away from toxic relationships. It's not an easy choice, especially when we've invested time, energy, and emotion into those connections. But there are times when walking away is not just necessary, it's the very act that God uses to set us free. For many of us, the term narcissist conjures images of someone self-absorbed and arrogant, but it goes much deeper than that. Narcissists thrive on control, manipulation, and external validation. They create illusions of power and dominance, but beneath that facade lies a fragile sense of self, entirely dependent on others to maintain their self-worth. What they fear most is not confrontation, it's indifference. Walking away is the ultimate act that dismantles their false sense of control and reveals the truth about who they really are. Let's explore 5 powerful truths about why walking away from a narcissist is not only an act of self-preservation, but a spiritual declaration of freedom. One, that walking away exposes the illusion of power. Narcissists thrive on a carefully constructed image of strength and control, but what lies beneath is far from what they present. They build their world on illusions, illusions designed to manipulate, dominate, and extract value from those around them. Their confidence is borrowed, their power is dependent, and their identity is stitched together from the reactions and emotions of the people they control. Without your engagement, their entire persona begins to unravel like a thread pulled from a fragile garment. They need you more than you need them, yet, in their twisted reality, they convince you that the opposite is true. They subtly condition you to believe that your life, your worth, and even your future are somehow tied to them. Every compliment they offer has a hidden agenda. Every display of affection is transactional. Their so-called power is not born from strength or integrity, it is rooted in deception. It is a shadow cast by your own light. Their greatest weapon is emotional control. Narcissists manipulate through fear, guilt, and false promises of change. They use these tactics to draw you deeper into their web, ensuring that you remain a reliable source of validation. They do not thrive in isolation. They require constant reinforcement from others to sustain the illusion of superiority they've built. Walking away shatters this illusion. It's not just a decision. It's a profound act of truth-telling. It reveals that their strength was always borrowed from your engagement, that their power existed only because you stayed. When you walk away, you remove the mirror that reflects back the image they've constructed, leaving them exposed. They must confront what they fear most, their own emptiness. The Bible speaks clearly to this moment in John 8:32. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. This truth, your freedom, is what narcissists cannot tolerate. For them, freedom means losing control. It means the unraveling of the identity they've spent their lives constructing. Walking away forces the narcissist into a reality they've been running from their entire lives. At first, they will respond with desperation. They will try to lure you back with promises they'll never keep or accusations that twist the truth. Some will play the victim, begging for your sympathy. Others will lash out in anger, hoping to provoke you into reaction, because even a negative reaction still feeds their sense of power. But if you refuse to engage, if you choose silence and distance, the illusion crumbles entirely. This is why Proverbs 16:18 warns us, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." The prideful nature of a narcissist blinds them to the reality of their downfall. Their strength is not anchored in truth, but in illusion, and illusions cannot survive in the light of God's truth. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to your strength and faith. It's a declaration that you will no longer live under the weight of someone else's brokenness. It's choosing to believe that God has something better for you, something far beyond the manipulation and control you've endured. Galatians 5:1 reminds us, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." When you walk away, you reclaim what was stolen from you, your peace, your joy, your identity in Christ. You break free from the cycle of manipulation and step into the fullness of God's promises. Walking away is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one written by the hand of a loving God who calls you into freedom, wholeness, and healing. Remember, their power was never real. It existed only in your willingness to participate. The moment you step out, the illusion falls apart, and you step into the truth of who you were always meant to be, a child of God, strong, whole, and free. 2. Walking away restores your God-given identity. One of the most dangerous aspects of a relationship with a narcissist is the way it erodes your identity over time. At first, it's subtle, a shift here, a compromise there, but before long you find yourself questioning everything you once knew about who you are. Narcissists excel at creating confusion. They rewrite reality, manipulating your emotions and thoughts until you lose sight of the truth about yourself. What's worse is that they convince you that your value is conditional, that it depends entirely on how well you serve their needs. But here's the truth that breaks their hold. Your identity has never been determined by another person's opinion. It was given to you by God, unshakable, eternal, and rooted in His love. The Bible reminds us in Galatians 5:1, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." When you walk away from a narcissist, you're not just leaving behind manipulation and control. You're stepping into a process of restoration. God begins to peel away the lies that were spoken over you, the ones that made you feel small, unworthy, and dependent on someone else's approval. In their place, He reminds you of who you've always been, loved, chosen, and called by Him. The narcissist's greatest tool is their ability to distort your sense of self. They convince you that your needs are unimportant, your voice is irrelevant, and your dreams are selfish. Slowly but surely, you start believing that your only role is to meet their expectations. But that's not who God created you to be. You were designed for more than just survival. You were created with purpose, with unique gifts and dreams that reflect the beauty of your Creator. Walking away is an act of courage, but it's also an act of faith. It's trusting that God's promises for your life are far greater than the pain of your past. Isaiah 43:18-19 declares, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." When you walk away, God begins that new work in you. He restores what was stolen. He heals what was broken. He takes the shattered pieces of your identity and makes something beautiful from them. It won't always be easy. The enemy will whisper lies, reminding you of your failures and tempting you to return to the familiar. But remember, familiarity is not the same as freedom. The familiar may feel safe for a moment, but true freedom is found only when you trust God to lead you into something greater. Jeremiah 29:11 promises, "For I know the plans I have for you, and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." If you've been living under the weight of someone else's brokenness, it's time to reclaim your God-given identity. This is your moment to say, no more. No more believing lies about who you are. No more shrinking to fit someone else's definition of worth. No more sacrificing your peace for the sake of keeping the peace. God is calling you to rise. He's calling you to remember who you are, a child of the King, chosen, and dearly loved. Psalm 139:14 reminds us, I praise you, because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. Comment below with the words, I'm reclaiming my identity, if you're ready to step into the life God has called you to. You are not defined by the opinions of others. You are defined by the one who created you, the one who knows every part of you and calls you his own. And when you walk away, you're not walking into emptiness. You're walking straight into the arms of a God who has been waiting to restore you, heal you, and remind you of who you've always been. His plans for you are not just for survival, they're for abundance. His dreams for you are bigger than you can imagine. And the identity he's given you, it's yours forever, unshakable, unbreakable, and redeemed by his love. 3. Walking away breaks the cycle of manipulation. Narcissists do not control through physical force. They control through emotional manipulation, creating a toxic cycle that binds you to them. This cycle is subtle at first, almost invisible. It starts with praise, affection, and attention that feels intoxicating. They make you feel seen in a way no one else has. You may believe you've found something rare and special, but over time, that warmth turns cold. Their praise becomes criticism, their affection becomes rejection, and their attention becomes control. This pattern isn't accidental, it's intentional. Narcissists create a push and pull dynamic designed to destabilize you emotionally. One moment they lift you up and the next they cut you down, leaving you disoriented and desperate to regain their approval. Each time they withhold affection or deliver criticism, it chips away at your confidence, making you more dependent on them for validation. They craft a world where you feel that the only way to restore peace is to please them. But the peace you seek from them is a mirage. It was never real. It's a tool they use to keep you trapped. The Bible warns us about such manipulative behavior in 2 Timothy 3:05, describing those who have a form of godliness but deny its power. Have nothing to do with such people. Manipulators may appear kind and caring on the surface, but their true intentions are rooted in control. Walking away is the only way to break this cycle. You cannot reason with someone whose goal is to keep you emotionally bound. You cannot fix what they refuse to acknowledge. When you walk away, you disrupt the pattern that has kept you trapped. You reclaim your voice, your strength, and your sense of self. Most importantly, you make room for God to step in and heal what has been broken. The enemy will try to convince you that leaving means failure, that if you had just tried harder or been more patient, things could have changed. But God's truth is clear. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and self-discipline. Walking away is not an act of fear, it's an act of power and faith. It's choosing love, love for yourself, love for the life God has planned for you, and love for the truth that sets you free. Breaking the cycle doesn't just affect you, it affects future generations. When you step out of a toxic relationship, you end patterns of manipulation that could have continued for years. You show your children, your family, and those around you what it means to choose freedom over fear, truth over lies, and healing over brokenness. It won't be easy at first. The narcissist will likely try to pull you back in, using every tactic they know, love bombing, guilt, promises of change. But you must stand firm. James 4:7 says, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." The enemy cannot hold on to what God has set free. If you're ready to break free, comment below with the words, "I'm breaking the cycle." Let that be your declaration, a signal to heaven and to your own heart that you're done living under manipulation. God is with you in this process. He is your strength when you feel weak, and your refuge when you feel afraid. Walking away breaks the chains the enemy tried to place on your life. It opens the door to new beginnings, fresh hope, and a life of peace that no one can take away. When you leave behind the cycle of manipulation, you're not just walking away from something harmful. You're walking toward healing, restoration, and the abundant life God has promised you. Isaiah 61:7 promises, "Instead of your shame you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. This is your inheritance in Christ, a life of joy, peace, and freedom, far beyond the cycle of pain you've left behind." 4. Walking away forces the narcissist to confront their void. Narcissists spend their entire lives running from one thing, the deep, unfillable void within themselves. Every action, every manipulative tactic, every desperate grab for control is an attempt to avoid facing that emptiness. Unlike a healthy person who draws strength from God and cultivates self-worth through love and truth, a narcissist cannot survive without external validation. They construct an elaborate facade of superiority and strength to distract themselves and others from the painful truth. They feel hollow and inadequate on the inside. This void is not just a momentary feeling of insecurity, it is the foundation of their identity. Narcissists fear abandonment more than anything because it forces them to confront the one thing they have spent their lives avoiding, the reality that they are not as powerful or significant as they pretend to be. Their survival depends on controlling how others perceive them, constantly surrounding themselves with people who affirm their false image. When you stay, you help fill that void. Your attention, reactions, and emotional energy become the fuel they need to maintain the illusion. But when you walk away, you create a crisis in their carefully constructed world. You remove the mirror they use to reflect their false identity, leaving them with nothing but the emptiness they've been running from. Suddenly, the reality they have tried to suppress is laid bare. They must face their own fragility, inadequacy, and brokenness. Proverbs 16:18 warns us, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." This fall is inevitable for the narcissist, when they can no longer manipulate others to sustain their false identity. When you walk away, it forces a reckoning in their soul, a reckoning they cannot avoid. For a narcissist, the void is unbearable. It leaves them scrambling to replace what they've lost. They may seek out new relationships, throw themselves into new social circles, or try to quickly regain control over someone else. But no new relationship can truly heal the wound left by your absence. Some narcissists respond with rage, launching smear campaigns or blaming you for everything that went wrong. Others retreat into self-pity, hoping to attract sympathy and draw you back into their orbit. But no matter how they react, the truth remains. The void you've left cannot be easily filled. They may find temporary distractions, but without true repentance and transformation, the emptiness will always return. Here's the key. Walking away isn't just about protecting yourself. It's also about allowing the narcissist to experience the consequences of their actions. When you refuse to engage, you no longer enable their behavior. You release them into God's hands, trusting Him to do what only He can. Break through their pride, bring them to repentance, and offer them true healing. But that healing cannot happen as long as you remain trapped in the cycle. The Bible tells us in Galatians 6 verse 7, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." When you walk away, you allow the narcissist to reap the consequences of their choices. You remove the false safety net they've relied on, forcing them to face the reality they've avoided for so long. This isn't an act of cruelty. It's an act of obedience to God's truth. As Isaiah 61, one promises, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners." This is your calling, to walk in freedom, no longer bound by the chains of manipulation and control. If you've ever felt guilty for leaving, remember this: God did not create you to fill someone else's void. That burden is too heavy for any human to carry. It's not your job to fix what only God can heal. Walking away doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've entrusted the situation to the only one who can bring true restoration. Walking away forces the narcissist to confront their emptiness, but it also allows you to rediscover the fullness of life that God has always planned for you. The road ahead may be uncertain, but remember, God is your refuge and strength. He will heal every wound, restore every broken place, and lead you into a life of peace and joy that no one can take away. 5. Walking away leads you into God's promise of freedom. Walking away from a narcissist is not just an escape from manipulation. It's a spiritual journey into the freedom and purpose God has always intended for you. It's a step of faith, a bold declaration that you are no longer bound by someone else's brokenness. It's the moment you reclaim your life, your peace, and your God-given destiny. For so long, the narcissist made you believe that leaving wasn't an option. They convinced you that without them you would be lost, abandoned, and forgotten. They tied your identity to their approval and made you feel that your survival depended on keeping them happy. But God's promises tell a different story. They speak of a life far greater than the chaos you've endured, a life marked by healing, peace, and restoration. Exodus 14:14 declares, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." This is the promise of freedom. God's assurance that He will go before you, making a way where there seemed to be no way. Walking away isn't just about leaving something toxic behind. It's about stepping into a new chapter written by the hand of God. In the beginning, walking away may feel like stepping into the unknown. You may feel grief, doubt, or even fear. The enemy will try to whisper lies, telling you that you've made a mistake, that you should turn back, that you'll never find peace without the relationship you left. But don't believe those lies. They are the same lies that kept you trapped for so long. The Bible reminds us in Isaiah 43:18-19, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." God is doing something new in your life. The past no longer defines you. The pain no longer has power over you. He is leading you into a season of healing and abundance, one that is far greater than anything you've left behind. Walking away is a statement of trust in God's plan. It's choosing to believe that the future He has for you is brighter than the darkness you've experienced. The narcissist may have tried to convince you that you would never thrive without them, but God has declared otherwise. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." When you walk away, you open the door for God's promises to unfold in your life. No longer weighed down by manipulation and fear, you are free to dream again, to hope again, and to build a life rooted in His truth. You begin to see His hand at work in ways you never imagined. He heals the wounds that once seemed permanent. He restores the joy you thought you had lost. He surrounds you with His peace, the kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. But there's something even greater than healing waiting for you on the other side: purpose. Your journey out of that toxic relationship is not just for your freedom. It's a testimony to others. God uses the battles we've overcome to help others find their way. He transforms your pain into power and your story into a source of strength for those still trapped in similar situations. In Psalm 34:17-18, we are reminded, "The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." You are not walking alone. God is right there with you, every step of the way. His arms are open, ready to lead you into a life that is full of joy, peace, and purpose. Comment below with the words, "I'm walking into God's promise," if you're ready to leave the past behind and embrace the future God has for you. Let this be your declaration that the days of fear and manipulation are over, and a new season of freedom and healing has begun. Walking away isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new one, a story written by God, filled with hope, restoration, and His unfailing love. The life He has planned for you is far greater than the one you're leaving behind. It's a life of abundance, peace, and wholeness, where you are no longer defined by the pain of your past, but by the promises of your future. So, walk boldly into the freedom God has already given you. He's gone ahead of you to prepare the way. Trust Him. The best is yet to come. Walking away from a narcissist is one of the most difficult decisions you will ever make. It feels like stepping off a ledge into uncertainty, leaving behind everything familiar, even if that familiarity has been marked by pain. Yet it is in these moments, when everything in you is tempted to turn back, that God does His greatest work. He takes your decision to walk away and transforms it into the first step toward healing, peace, and freedom. For so long you may have been trapped in a cycle of manipulation, convinced that staying was your only option. You were conditioned to believe that your worth was tied to how well you met someone else's impossible expectations. You carried burdens that were never meant for you, adjusting your life, emotions, and dreams to fit into the narrow box someone else created. But God has always had something more for you. He never intended for you to live in the shadows of someone else's brokenness. His desire has always been to lead you into the light of His truth and the fullness of His love. When you walk away, something powerful happens. The chains that once held you begin to fall. The lies you once believed lose their grip. Little by little, you start to breathe again. You start to remember who you are. Not who the narcissist told you to be, but who God says you are. You are His beloved child, fearfully and wonderfully made, created for a life filled with peace, joy, and purpose. The journey won't always be easy. There will be moments when the pull of the past feels strong. Nostalgia may cloud your judgment, and doubt may whisper that it wasn't as bad as you remember. But don't be deceived. Those thoughts are remnants of the very manipulation you've escaped. The enemy wants nothing more than to keep you tied to a life of bondage. But God is calling you to keep moving forward. He promises to replace what was stolen, to restore what was broken, and to bring beauty from ashes. Isaiah 61:3 tells us that God gives a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. This is His promise for you. He does not just rescue you from the fire. He rebuilds you stronger than before. The ashes of your past will not define you. They will be a testimony to the power of God's restoration. As you walk away, you may feel moments of grief, confusion, and even loneliness. But in those moments, remember that you are not walking away alone. God goes before you. His Spirit surrounds you. He is your refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. He has seen every tear you've cried, every heartbreak you've endured, and every prayer you whispered when no one else was listening. God is not only the one who delivers, He is also the one who heals. He will heal the wounds you thought were beyond repair. He will gently and patiently lead you toward wholeness, restoring not just your circumstances but your soul. the scars you carry will become reminders, not of pain, but of victory, but of victory, but of victory, but of victory.